legend material.
You're wearing some nice wares there, Jamie.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, got a nice retro shirt on from I believe this is from '84, something like that. But yeah, no, this beautiful shirt, along with many others, not just Chelsea shirts, but a mixture of teams. You can get hold of these at ScoreDraw. Check the link in our description down below, and go get yourself one. They're really nice. I think you got one, didn't you?
I have got one in the post. I've got a nice 68 one, very nice blue kit. West Ham, JB.
Oh.
How was that absolute dross?
It was awful, wasn't
it? I don't know whether it was the pressure going into the game. Leicester had lost. We had the perfect opportunity of coming into third position and running away from Man United, rather than now having to catch up and chase sort of fourth spot. We're now in a competition. It's not sort of running away with third and leaving the Leicesters and the Uniteds below. We had an opportunity to go sort of 2-3 points ahead of them, and I mean, the lads just didn't turn up.
No, I think watching the previous performances, specifically Leicester, really, you kind of felt a performance like that coming. I mean, I even said, last week we've won the first 3 games, but I'm still feeling negative about how we might go into these games, and it's just something about West Ham. They love to beat us when they're losing to everyone else, especially the teams around us. So I could just feel it coming. And it was just one of those days, wasn't it? Like, even, we scored 2 goals and we still didn't win the game. That says everything you need to know about our defensive problems.
I mean, let's start where it really kicked off. I mean, VAR, sort of, I don't know, we were texting as the game was going on. And it felt like, I mean, massive injustice on them, and that's as the Chelsea fans saying that they should have had a goal in the first couple of minutes, and we were saved. And we were talking on the game going, do you know what? It feels like one of those games that an injustice happens, but we'll go on and sort of build confidence because of it. Did we?
I think we were very lucky to get away with that one. I mean, it was poor defending. I mean, the whole Azpilicueta thing, like sticking his butt into the attackers and just being weird in general. I mean, he should never be marking Souček in the first place. He's their tallest player. Azpilicueta, yeah, he's a good defender, but he's not a big bloke. So that was a bad decision in the first place. Yeah. Set pieces in general, I mean, they've been our downfall. Full stop. It's been bad. So we'll go into the defensive stuff later, but I mean, in terms of set pieces, the whole zonal marking thing clearly doesn't work for the players that we've got. You've got Liverpool who do it very well, and Van Dijk is the guy who is there to get the ball. He's not got a position. It's just, right, you're the one that's going to go and win the ball in the air, and he does it. Yeah. So the zonal marking works. But unless we play Zuma, that's never going to work. So
I think it's case in point of where I feel Lampard is playing the sort of the tactical, the ethos he wants to play with not the players to do it. He hasn't got the players at his disposal at the moment to achieve that sort of defending, but still decides to sort of push ahead with it. And that's not necessarily a negative against him. I just feel like if we haven't got the players, let's play to how we can defend rather than how we would like to defend. And let's look at, sort of, as we say, we're going to mention it a bit later, but for me, let's just get the simple stuff right, which we just aren't doing at the moment. The reason that we seem to be constantly switching players at the back is we haven't found a perfect back full in the players we've got. I think, for me, if we look at the first goal, what were your thoughts? I mean,
it was just a mess, wasn't it? I mean, we didn't learn from the first one. Kepa comes running out, to God knows where. I don't know what he was trying to do. He's never been strong at commanding the box from corners, from wide free kicks, in no man's land. And obviously, again, we're not picking up Souček at that back post, and they managed to stick it away in the end. And it was just, you could see it coming. I mean, we got away with the first one. We got a penalty, went 1-0 up. That should have been, we should have then looked to push on. But instead, our defensive issues are now causing us another problem. But I think that starts with Kepa in that situation. I think he should have done a hell of a lot better for that.
Yeah, and for me, just no one seems to take. You've got no commanding player in the back four. Like no one. I mean, you've got Dave, an absolutely amazing captain. Don't get me wrong, but he's not that commanding player. I think you mentioned Van Dijk a minute ago. He's not that player that does it, and the keeper isn't commanding it. None of the back four are. So,
I mean, look at the third goal, for example. Like Alonso, what on earth was that? I think he's still trying to get back from that box now. That's how bad it was. He was just, if you're a fullback, he's not playing as a wing back in a back four. He's playing as a fullback, which means you have to, if you're going to get up there, you need to get back. Yeah, we're going for a win, but we don't want to lose the game. So run back, track your man, and don't let him get that far ahead of you. Rudiger, I mean, the guy's left-footed, so what do? You let him onto his right foot. Don't let him into his left foot and bury it. It was just too easy, and frustrating.
The whole game was a bit of a frustration because I don't know. I mean, let's talk around some of the positives. Willian had an absolutely amazing game, and I think it's going to be consistent across both games we cover this weekend. He had a really. He's just one of those players. Our attacking is just looking so much better than our defence at the moment. Defensively, all of those goals were mistakes rather than class from West Ham. A team that are struggling at the bottom, a team that had sort of a 2-2 draw with Newcastle at the weekend.
Mm.
They shouldn't have deserved the win, but they played did. Us off the park at sort of. But some great performances, actually. I think we started sort of a strong forward attacking. Tammy started still not looking on the ball, to be honest.
Do you know what, with Tammy, I think he's trying too hard. I think he sees that Giroud's been started. He sees that Werner's coming in. He sees that Havertz might come in. And I think he's just trying too hard. He looked a little bit like Bambi on ice, like he was making loads of runs and he was trying to do good stuff, but he kept it just wasn't working for him. He was just making the wrong decisions every time, and it was just frustrating. I think it needs to be Giroud going forward, to be honest.
I think for the remainder of the season, definitely. So some surprising performances. I thought Barkley over the last couple of games has been on fire. I'd credit where credit's due. I mean, we still haven't got to the bottom of why Jorginho is not starting, whether it's an injury, a lack of fitness, or he's off in the summer. But actually, I think performances Barkley are probably keeping him out, in all honesty.
I think if we're looking now at the Watford game as an example, the perfect opportunity to bring Jorginho on when Kante went off injured, and he still picked Gilmour. I mean, Gilmour obviously fantastic talent. Lampard likes to bring through the youth, but Jorginho has not played a single minute, and there's got to be something in that. Unless he's like severely unfit, then it's got to be a case of he's moving on. And I genuinely think it's got to be that the case. I think his agent's been talking quite a lot about. He's available. He maybe will go to Juventus and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lampard's, turn around to him like, if you want to leave, then I'm not going to play you. You can go to Juventus if you want. We have players that can come in and fill your position. That's not a problem. But you're not going to play for the rest of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it's gone down.
I mean, the rumour mill is he's on the Moose lockdown diet. which probably means he's not starting because the lack of fitness that's happening here is unbelievable.
Probably can't get off the bench when he's been asked to.
I'm like Ronaldo in the later years.
R9, I hope you mean.
So the Watford game. That was a breath of fresh air, to be honest. I mean, let's start by sort of stating we weren't challenged. Watford seem a little bit defeated.
On the first minute, I think, weren't they? It was they. I don't know if we looked good or they were just awful. I think it was a mixture of the two. To be honest, I mean, we played well, but they didn't really threaten us until like the 85th minute.
I think they had no shots on target until, as you say, 85th minute. We had 70% possession, and from my perspective, we're going to touch on some of the defensive errors. The issue is we couldn't really point out those defensive errors in the Watford game because we weren't challenged. Interesting pairing in Christian and Zuma. May I just add, great shout by Jamie on calling the lineup. Obviously, got a tap in for sort of Lampard. Or
I gave him a call and just said, "Frank, mate, how are you feeling about the game? What do you think about the starting 11?" And he gave me a little nudge. So
he didn't give you a nudge. You named it for him.
I kind of. He heard how good I was at Football Manager. I was like, "Jamie, can you just tell me what you would do in this situation?"
I know you've taken MK Dons to heights that no one's ever seen. But for me, absolutely amazing game. It was one of those ones where, if as a Chelsea fan, I could have struggled through 90 minutes at West Ham, that was enjoyable to watch. Pulisic just on fire. He ran Watford.
I think Lampard got the team selection bang on. Not because I told him to, but just he just did. I think that for me, the best thing about the way that he's working this team at the moment is the way that Mount and Barkley are performing. I think that's very pivotal to Kante. So obviously, when you've got Kante playing that holding position, because he's like having two people on the pitch, it means that you can have two kind of number 8s in Mount and Barkley, and the extra two players are going to help you break down that low block that you're getting from these teams that are just coming there to defend. And Jorginho can't really do it in the same way that Kante does. He's not as defensive minded, so you don't have that kind of extra protection for the defence. And I think Gilmore's still a little bit weak, and still a bit youthful to do that job. So it's I think Kante has been pivotal to that, and he's allowed Mount and Barkley to come through and have such strong performances in the last game.
Mount was just brilliant. I mean, the way in which he was just controlling the ball, sort of controlling the tempo of the game. Same from Barkley. The two were just owning the whole of the midfield. And
I've been really impressed with Barkley. I know a lot of people are not massive fans of his, but as I think I said this last week, he does a lot. He offers a lot. It's just sometimes that last decision is not the right one. But I think that can be worked on, especially under Frank Lampard, who was one of the best in that position.
Yeah,
he's in the best place to learn, and he's in the best place to improve. And I would be happy for Barkley to stay. I think he's actually, this season has probably been his best season for us. He had a fairly good season last year, but I think he's really improved this year. And I'd keep him in the side at the moment, definitely.
And let's go to the main man at the moment. I mean, Pulisic, he is running sort of defensive, right? I mean, his footwork, his control, his pace. I mean, that's for me is something that's really doing sort of well for us at the moment. And equally, Willian. We'll touch on the transfer tracker in a couple of minutes, but for me, he's one of those players that now I'm like, you know what? I think that's earning a contract. He scored how many goals sort of over the last couple of games?
I think he's one of those players that's benefiting from Pulisic playing so well, because not only, two of his goals have been because Pulisic has won penalties, but Pulisic is doing a lot of the running. He's almost doing that Eden Hazard role. I'm not going to compare the two because that's impossible, but he's getting his head down and he's running. We far too often you'll see Chelsea pass, trying to pass their way through, but you get the ball to him, and he's gonna be that guy who's just gonna get his head down and try and run between them. And it's just a change of pace. It's a change of direction. It's a change of attitude.
Yeah.
So the team that are defending against us are expecting us to try and pass around them. But you give the ball to Pulisic, he's going to do something different, and then they're kind of not prepared for that. So it's just giving us a different dimension, which is really, really working for us. And it's showing in his performances because of how many chances he's creating for us.
And from my perspective, we mentioned it already, but Giroud had a great game again. I think it's just solidifying why he'll start for the remainder of the season. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for Tammy in the squad. I just think at the moment he's struggling. The news is getting to him. He's had a number of seasons where he's been out on loan and he's not done so well. I mean, the Swanseas, the Aston Villa, he had a great sort of season. He led that into this season, had the dip in sort of the COVID sort of response, and then obviously the news that we're bringing in other strikers, I think it's just hit him hard.
Yeah.
But I'll back him to sort of bounce back. I just think for the sake of our getting top 4 spot, we're going to have to back Giroud. And Tammy's going to. Yeah. And one last player, I think, sort of for me, that was showing sort of real sort of resolve on doing well, considering that lack of form going back from COVID. Reece James had a great game. For me, the balls he was putting into the box, his defensive stance, he just didn't seem a different player than he has been over the last couple of games. And I think it is just some of those youth players coming back. They're struggling with that, sort of not playing week in, week out, and then sort of trying to sort of pick up their form again. It's more difficult to sort of switch on and off.
I think he definitely improved in that Watford game. As we said, we weren't tested very much in that game, but he looked physically stronger than he did in the last few games he played in. And his crossing at the beginning of the game wasn't great, but slowly throughout the game it was getting better. So hopefully he can carry that forward, because to be honest, that back 4 needs to be our back 4 going forward, because the fact that the 2 games that we've got clean sheets since we've come back have been the 2 games where we've had Christiansen and Zuma playing should tell you everything you need to know. One of those games being against Leicester. So yes, Watford didn't test us very much, but we also were playing against a very good Leicester City side with that back 4, and they didn't concede either. So we really, I think that has to be our back 4 combination.